are now entering the doo-wop zone.
We're doing doo-wop like she used to do. We're doing doo-wop. We're doing doo-wop.
Oh, it's Monday night, and we are doo-wopping with another hour of this great Street Corner Harmony with me, Glenn Fisher, the king of the doo-woppers. I'm not going to replay last night's show. I've got another 60 minutes of the greatest music ever put to wax. So strap it on and get ready for a musical ride back in time. 89.9 FM and WJCT.org is your exclusive Jacksonville home for this magical hour of music. So spread the word, because on the Doo-Wop Revival, we are... Welcome to a Monday night edition of the Doo-Wop Revival, a very special edition. Tonight, my guest is Larry Chance of Larry Chance and the Earls, one of the great voices of the doo-wop era, one of the funniest guys you'll see on stage. And after this program, I think you'll agree with both of those. Got a little bit of wit to him and a great, great voice. Larry, I have enjoyed your music for so long, and I'm thrilled to have you on the program with me tonight.
Oh, Glenn, thank you for having me.
You grew up in two of the great cities when it comes to doo-wop music. You were born in New York, lived there till you were young, moved to Philly, spent your growing up years there, I guess till about 15 or 16, and then went back to New York. And yet, when you grew up in Philly as a teenager, you really didn't have much formal training as a singer, or you didn't do a lot of singing.
Well, I sang on the corner like all the other kids did at the time, you know. But when I moved to New York is when I really got serious with it and decided to form my own group. And Philly would be one of those, you know, let's hit a note, and you'd sing with different guys. But in New York, at the Vanderchild High School in the Bronx, in the second floor boys' room, the guys I sang with there were the guys who, of course, became the Earls, and I love the sound, and we took it from there.
When you were in Philly, were there any groups back then? Is that when the Coronas started, and that became, I guess, the Hi-Hatters?
Well, that all started in the Bronx.
In the Bronx, okay.
I never had an official group of my own in Philly. I just sang with different guys. You know, we just hit some notes. But until I moved to New York, I didn't have my own group.
What was it back then? I know you said you sang in the street corner. Everybody was doing it, I guess, back then. But what was it that made you say, hey, you know what? I can do this.
Girls. I discovered girls like singers. That works for me.
But there really had to be it was not only that, and I'm sure that played a big part in it, knowing you, but that being able to sing and maybe getting discovered and being a star, I mean, that had to be like, wow. I mean, you grew up in Philly where you probably watched American Bandstand when you were young, and, that dream had to be there.
Oh, of course. There's no doubt about it. I think anyone who sings or who the way that I did, you had that dream. I was one of the fortunate ones. I got lucky and had a little bit of success. But I think we all have those dreams. We all want to be stars. Everybody wants to be a star. And again, I was very fortunate.
Tell me how Trade Martin changed things for you.
Trade took us into the studio. He was the one who believed in us. And, he was a great artist in his own right and a great session musician to boot. And, we owe him a lot. Of course, Rome Records, him and Johnny Power, that was their baby. And that label was distributed by Bill Buchanan of Buchanan and Goodman fame.
Did you do any work with those guys? Because they were phenomenal. I mean, they created some stuff that was just unbelievable.
No. I just met Bill through his distributing the recording.
All right, so this is Rome Records. That was your first studio. And the first hit that came up was Life Is But a Dream, a great harp tones song. You also, in that session, did Sunday Kind of Love. And Raul Cedar, who was just a great, great individual. I got to meet him many times over the years. A fantastic individual and just so creative. And what a great group that the Harp Tones were.
The Harp Tones are one of my favorites. In fact, I worked with the Harp Tones so many times over the years. And, I opened the show with Life Is But a Dream 99 out of 100 times. The one time when I didn't was, of course, when I worked with the Harp Tones. And Raul and Willie both came up to me many times. Please, why don't you ever do your version? It's different. And I said, it's called. You know, you just don't do that. I mean, it's their song, you know. And I always felt like this: if you can't do it as well, do it differently. Because you know, that's one. Willie was one of my heroes. He still is a real gentleman.
Yeah, he is a real gentleman, and I've gotten to know him fairly well over the years, too. Kenny Vance did a Sunday Kind of Love. He did it early on in his career, but recently, before he got sick, before he had the throat problems, he did Sunday Kind of Love at Bob Belknap's show up at the New England Doo-Wop Society, and it was the version where it had Frenchie doing the falsetto all the way through it. I mean, it was just absolutely beautiful. And I asked him, I said, why don't you do more of that? He said, you know, I just don't want to do it because of Willie. And Willie said, oh, go ahead and do it. But he was still, you know, very, you know, cautious about doing that in front of another audience. And luckily, I have it on tape, and he never got to record it.
Yeah, it's called respect. It's called respect. That's what it is.
All right, you did Life is But a Dream and Sunday Kind of Love on the Rome record label. Let's take a minute now and listen to both of those songs, okay?
Okie doke.
Will you take part in my life, my love? That is my dream. Life is but a dream. It's what you make it. Always try to give. Don't ever take it. Life has its music. Life has its songs of love. Yes, life is but a dream. And I dream of you, strange as it may seem. I'll always love you. I'm trying to tell you just what you mean to me. I love you with all my heart, and I adore you and all your loving charms. I want you to do your part. Oh, come back into my open arms. Life is but a dream, and we can live it. We can make our love, none to compare with. Will you take part in my life, my love? That is my
Something that I'm searching for, something that I'm Say
talking with Larry Chance of Larry Chance and the Earls on this special Monday night edition of the Doo-Wop Revival. We just heard Life is But a Dream and Sunday Kind of Love. Great, great songs, Larry, and you put your own spin on both of those songs.
When I did Life is But a Dream, I never thought it would be a hit. However, the follow-up, Looking for My Baby, I really did think was going to be a hit.
And it was. It was. Hey, after Rome came High Weiss and Old Town Records and Stan Vincent. Tell me about how all that got started.
Well, we had someone named, the last name was Ross. I believe Tony Power had written a song called Remember When, which we played around with a lot when we were on Rome. And Stan Vincent liked it, but he wanted to change it, and he rewrote it to Remember Then and changed the lyrics. And fortunately for us, because it was our biggest hit.
At the time, you were the Earls, and High had a hand in how you became Larry Chance and the Earls. Tell me that story.
Well, we had done Remember Then and Never and Eyes, and all were somewhat successful. And right after we did Eyes, High Weiss wanted me to do a single, a la Bobby Rydell kind of a thing, of a song written by Murray the K's mom. And it was called Promise Her Anything But Give Her Love as a single. And I didn't want to do it. He said, come on, take a chance. You got nothing to lose. Take a chance. I said, no, I want to stay with the group. I'm not telling you to leave the group. Take a chance. If you get lucky with a hit, you take your group. Take a chance. Larry Chance, that's what I'm going to call you from now on. And that's when he began to put the Earls featuring Larry Chance on the recordings.
You mean your real name isn't Larry Chance? Really?
Real name is Fiorito.
Yes, and I think a lot of the Larry Chance and the Earl fans know that. Let's take a listen to Remember When, and then we'll move into Remember Then.
Remember, 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 remember when, remember when
We walked in the park, holding hands in the dark, whispering our love words neath the moon. You loved me then.
remember, 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 remember when
I believed you cared by the things we shared. Life was but a dream I see. You loved me then.
remember, remember.
When we told our friends our love was oh so real and it would never end. They used to watch us laughing happily, and then they envied you and envied me. Now those days are gone, yeah, you're in another's arms. I've lost happiness, it's true, but now and then.
Remember, 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 remember when.
Ooh, choo, chang, like, jiggy, bop. 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 Ooh, choo, chang, like, jiggy, bop.
Remember, 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 remember then, remember then.
That night we fell in love beneath the stars above. That was a lovely summer night. Remember then. Remember then.
Remember.
Our love is in the past. Oh, has it gone so fast? Why couldn't our love last? I'm broken hearted now, since we have parted now. My mind wanders now and then. Remember then.
Like, tell me how that came about.
Remember When came long before we did Remember Then. Remember Then was the rewritten version of Remember When. Remember When actually should never have been released. It was just a demo we played around with, and we never thought it was going to be released. So it actually wasn't released until the 70s, I think.
Boy, that was a big thing where songs that were unreleased, I know a couple of guys out of New York went and bought a lot of master tapes and things like that and released them on Relic, and Don Folletti and his partner there. A lot of those things you probably never even knew were coming out. Next thing you know, you hear it on a compilation CD.
Yeah, I know Ronnie I bought a lot of the masters. And that's when I first heard some of these things, when they were on Clifton. But some I was kind of embarrassed because, as I said, they weren't meant to be released. They were just demos that, you say, I don't like it. But again, we would do these things, and you said, do you think it has promise? And we didn't. But when it was rewritten to Remember Then, that's when we really felt it.
And you can tell. I mean, the vibe and the excitement and Remember Then it's just there. I mean, especially if you people just heard them back to back, you can tell the difference. It just sounds like a more polished group, but I think you weren't more polished. You just believed in that song, as opposed to Remember When you were recording it, you never thought it'd be released.
Well, it was actually about 2 years later, so there was a little, vocal growth, I guess you could say, a little maturity, a little more vocal maturity.
Another real big point in your life with Old Town was a song that you sing. I've seen you probably 6, 7, 8 times, and you sing it at every show, and I know it means so much to you, and that is I Believe.
I Believe is very special. We close every show with it. It's dedicated to a former member, Larry Palumbo, who passed away serving our nation as a member of the 82nd Airborne Division. And I dedicate the song to him and our fallen heroes and our veterans, especially our Vietnam veterans, who I don't think get a fair shake, and our young men and women in uniform. They're my heroes.
Well, every time I've been at one of your shows and you ask us to stand up, and you ask all the people who served to stand up in the audience, and being someone that did serve for 4 years in the Marine Corps, I feel good when I know we're being recognized, and I know how important that is to you. And have you sung that?
I appreciate your service, believe me.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And have you sung that song more than any other one? And do you get more requests from that than any other song?
Oh, absolutely. It's the most requested without a doubt.
We're not going to go any further without listening to I Believe.
Drop of rain that falls, a flower grows. A flower grows. I believe that somewhere in the darkest night, a candle glows. A candle glows. I believe for everyone who goes astray, someone will come to show the way. I believe above the storm, the smallest prayer can still be heard. Can still be heard. I believe that someone in the great somewhere hears every word. Hears every word. Every time I hear a newborn baby cry, or touch a leaf, or see the sky, then I know I believe. I know that at one time or another, we've all lost someone very near and very dear. But there's no cause to fear, because there's someone above watching over them and watching over us. Every time I hear a newborn baby cry, or touch a leaf, or see the sky, then I know I believe. Somewhere above, there is a heaven.
We're talking with Larry Chance of Larry Chance and the Earls in this special Monday night edition of the Doo-Wop Revival. That's a great, great song, Larry. I never get tired of listening to it.
Thank you.
You know, there's another favorite song that I have by you that came out on Old Town, and I believe it's a song you may have had something to do with. You wrote it or co-wrote it or something like that, and that is Never. You have an upbeat version and a slow version, and I really like the slow version from 1963. Tell us about that one.
Well, Never Again, co-written by myself and Bobby Deldon, and Stan Vincent put a few lines in it. I actually thought Never was a better record than Remember Then. Well, I like them both, of course. But, yeah, I loved the song Never. So much so, as you said, we did it again. You know, most people take slow songs and jazz them up, as we did with Life is But a Dream. But very few people ever took a song like Never, and make it a slow doo-wop ballad. And I had an idea to do that, and I think it came out very well.
That's a pretty song. Let's listen to it right now.
I'll never fall in love.
Larry Chance and the Earls with Never from 1963 in the Old Town record label right here on the Doo-Wop Revival. We have Mr. Larry Chance himself on the show tonight. Larry, at that particular time, after that song was released, you must have been rolling in the money. You guys were probably millionaires by then.
Oh, yeah,
and
right.
Driving big cars. And, I mean, you probably thought after Life is But a Dream that it was going to be very, very lucrative, but nothing ever came, did it?
No, it wasn't about money. Had it been about money, we would have quit years ago. I have that bug in me that says entertainment is my life, and it is. Comedy, there's audience participation. I just love entertaining. I love, putting a smile on their faces, or perhaps doing I believe in touching someone emotionally. It's just called entertainment. If I can take someone's away from their troubles for an hour or so, it's a wonderful feeling.
I spent 25 years in broadcasting. I was a sportscaster, and then the last 3 years I anchored the news. I wasn't crazy about that, but, and then I went to work for the Jaguars for 15 years, selling their premium seats and suites and stuff. But, I look back and I said, I'd have paid both of those companies, those industries, to do that work. I mean, I loved what I did, and, here I am 55 years after I had a little transistor radio listening to the doo-wop and wanting to be a disc jockey, doing what I always wanted to do in my retirement. And you can tell when someone enjoys what they do because you can hear the passion and the excitement in their voice. And I hear it from you when we talk, and I hear it from you when you're on stage. It's just, you can't fake that. You can't pull the wool over anybody's eyes. When you believe in it, you believe in it.
Well, how lucky am I? When you're a young man, you who loves music like I do, I idolize people like the Harp Tones and the Heartbeats and Anthony and the Imperials and the Drifters, and later they become my peers, my friends, my buddies. I mean, how great is that? And then, of course, living up here in the Catskills, I worked all the Catskill resorts as a solo artist. I had 16-piece charts, and I would work with people like Joan Rivers and Alan King and Howie Mandel and just the biggest names in showbiz. So it's been a wonderful, wonderful career. And I got to work in radio with Imus doing, for 10 years, doing characters on his show. And, I've always liked comedy, so that was another joy.
Imus in the Morning had two characters on his show, and I think you know them both. One is Geraldo Santana Banana, and the other one is
Geraldo Santana Banana. He was a crazy person in charge of Editorial Opinion, and he used to talk just like this. He was from the South Bronx.
Were you the general manager or the station manager?
Used to live in the Louisville Project in the Bronx.
And what about Rainbow?
Say, killer is Rainbow Johnson. Me and the boys got a little ditty for you. Say, man, gonna do a little song. Say, hit it, fellas. And then I would do like a parody. I'd do all the voices. It was just a joy, and working with that genius. And believe me, he is.
No question. Absolutely no question. Now, you did that for 10 years.
10 years, which, in radio is a heck of a run.
Absolutely. And, there's a sad note to that, though, is that I've been looking high and low to find some cuts of that of those characters, and I just can't find them anywhere. And believe me, I've been looking and looking and looking. And I asked you, and when you and I were together 4 or 5 years ago up at Let East, we were talking, and that was when you had just gone through the hurricane, and you had lost everything. You lost, those cuts, you lost albums, you lost...
Yeah.
I mean, that was really sad.
I lost photographs and tapes, and hopefully one day someone may have some of those tapes.
Yeah, I think, Kenny Vance found that out. After he lost everything in the hurricane, he said he was going to shows, and every time he'd show up at a different show, somebody would bring him a 45 or something that he had that he lost that he never thought he would ever see again. And, that's the way people are. And I'm sure that if people know that you lost that stuff, I don't know how many do.
Oh, I got a lot of 45s and albums from the fans that I had lost.
Did you lose most of your record collection?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But I pretty much got everything now. And how did I get it? From the fans.
They're special. They're very special. Hey, after Oh, maybe what, late 60s, mid 60s. You know, the Beatles came in, and I really did not like the Beatles. I really appreciate their music now and like their music.
They spoke very highly of you.
Yeah, I know they did. You know, Paul just called me the other day. He keeps trying to apologize, but they just took my doo-wop away. What were you guys doing in that period, and what was your thought during that time period?
We changed the name of the group to Smokestack. We added a horn section, and all the stand-up singers, Ronnie, Tony, played percussion instruments. I played the congas. And we became a pretty hot New York City dance band. We were working in places like the Peppermint Lounge, the Headliner, and we did that for quite a while until the so-called revival, which is when we went back to being the Earls.
Did James Brown? Did James Brown sing with the Smokestack? Was he with you?
No.
Oh, yes, he was. Hold on, folks. We're going to listen to Smokestack. The Wall. It's called Wall Between Us. And tell me if Larry Chance doesn't sound like James Brown. Take a listen.
There's a wall between us, baby, and I got to tear it down. Built by your mama and your papa. Keep people coming around. They say that I am just a poor boy, yeah. Wrong side of the track. When I try to get next to your girl, they keep on pushing me back. I know that your mama said no. Papa said no. No. Gotta say, stay away from my door. Ain't about to do it. Stay away from my door. Never gonna do it. Away from my door. Said I love the girl. Stay away from her. Na 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 na. There's a wall between us, baby, and it's tearing us apart. Ooh, but please believe me, baby, can't keep you out my heart. I know that the folks want you to have a man, society. But I was born a poor boy girl. Folks won't let me be. Gotta tell you, I love you, baby, I love you. Love you. Gotta say, I sure love my baby. Love my baby, yeah. Said I love my woman. Never gonna leave my baby. Girl, I love you, yes I do.
I'm telling you, I've listened to that thing 3 times. You sound just like him.
Not like James.
Did you have the moves like James Brown there, Larry?
I love all kinds of music, and over the years I've recorded jazz. I've recorded country. I've recorded R&B. I've recorded doo-wop. I just love music.
Hey, in 1976, they reissued some of the Rome songs, and do they come to you and ask you for permission to do that? Do they do it? And were you pleased with the songs that they released?
No.
No, on all counts?
Well, I'll tell you the reason why. Because for some reason, they decided to make me sound young, and they speeded up a lot of that stuff. And some of it, I sound like Frankie Lyman. I mean, I never sang that high, and we're in the process now of doing something called, we're releasing 3 or 4 albums called Rare or Unreleased Through the Years. And it's going to feature a lot of those songs, but back in the way they were recorded, in the proper speed. And I think they're going to sound a lot nicer.
Nice. And let me tell people right now that if you want any of Larry's music, you can go to LarryChanceandTheEarls.com. That's your website. And you've got albums on there. You've got some memorabilia. You got a jacket. You got all sorts of good stuff on there.
Yeah.
Always selling, Larry.
That can help send our kids to college.
Oh yeah. Tell me about your family. I know today we were going to do this a little earlier, and you said your son was coming in from Florida, and you had lunch with him. So tell me about your family.
Yeah, they're all down in Florida, and I've got three kids, one of each, and no, I've got a son and a daughter, and my daughter's in Orlando, and my son's in just outside of Tampa, in a town called Lutz, Florida. And I've got 3 beautiful grandchildren, and people can always see pictures of them every now and then. We post them on Facebook on our Larry Chance and the Earls page on Facebook.
Check this out, the Earls, man. Dig this. Sweet harmony, do it, y'all. Come on.
Here's a little bit of Rainbow Johnson from the Imus Show as we head to the break. On the other side, Larry will talk about his big scare with cancer and how he's come back to still be performing on the doo-wop stage. So don't you dare touch that dial.
You're the king of radio land. Every morning on 6 to 6, WNBC. That is where Imus will be. Imus in the morning. Do it, y'all. Imus in the morning. Wow. Imus in the morning. Imus in the morning. Check this out. Imus in the morning. Earth sleepwalkers and roto-rooters. Imus banana and my man Jupiter. So Reverend Hawkins and much more.
On the Rome songs that were reissued, there's one in there that I really, really like, and I hope you like it too because I'd like to play it. It's The Lost Love. Tell me about that.
Lost Love, one of my favorite all-time songs by the Superiors. And in fact, I'll tell you how much I liked it. I re-recorded it on our, I believe it was on our Streets of the Bronx album.
That's where we're going to play it from. So let's listen to Lost Love by Larry Chance and the Earls.
The sun will shine like it used to before until you say, darling, that you're mine once more. All of my memories, darling, all of my cares, they are too hard for me to bear. The moon won't glow like it glowed that night when I held you, darling, oh, so tight. We two together, you said it would be. Then you lied, you turned and walked out on me. You took advantage of my faithfulness. You knew all I wanted was your happiness. Nothing could tear our dream world apart till you found that new love and broke my heart. The moon won't go that night when I held you, darling, oh, so tight. We two together, you said it would be. Then you lied, you turned and walked out on
That's a pretty song, Lost Love, originally by the Superiors. That version by our guest tonight, Larry Chance and the Earls. Nice version, Larry.
Thank you.
Everything's cruising along in your life, and you had success early, and then the music went away, and you found a way to make a living and do the things that you love to do. And then the big scare came in, was it 2000, 2001? You found out you had cancer.
Yes. And I think no matter who, when the doctor says it came back positive, you've got cancer, it's kind of it's. I can't even explain to you what you feel inside. But when he told me it was right on my vocal cords, it's frightening because I can't live without what I do. I just cannot live without music. And they told me I might never sing again, and I was determined. I love what I do, and I knew I'd come back.
The positive attitude, and I've known a lot of people, as we all have, that have fought cancer, are fighting cancer, and the ones that I know that have overcome are the ones that have been just so positive and just said, look, I'm not going to let this thing defeat me.
Well, I believe, and I do. And a lot of prayer, and a lot of my fans were rooting for me and praying for me, and I really believe in that. I believe that the body can heal itself. I had incredible doctors. The doctors today, they're just wonderful.
It's amazing how far we've come with cancer. I have a family member now that's going through it, and it's just scary. It's just we've come a long way, but there's still a long way to go.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Back in the Streets of the Bronx. That is really a great album. That came out, in 2002, 2003, right around in there?
Right around there, yes.
Yeah, it's great. One of my favorites on there, actually, there's a couple on there. One is Acapella with My Friends, which I played quite a bit on my show. And Streets of the Bronx, the acapella version is my favorite.
Right, thank you. Yeah, they used it as a ballad in the motion picture. But when you went to see Chaz in the play live, they used our version. And, of course, we came up with that song for Chaz.
Great song. Let's listen to Streets of the Bronx, and then we'll follow that with a little a cappella from My Friends.
Wap wap, shooby wap wap, wap wap, shooby wap wap, wap wap, shooby wap wap, wap wap, shooby wap. On the streets of the Bronx is where I want to be. Shooby wap wap, wap wap, shooby wap wap. Standing on the corner singing good old harmony. Shooby wap wap, wap wap, shooby wap wap. Waiting for the man to come along and discover me. Shooby wap wap, wap wap, shooby wap wap. My father preaches, son, please share a job. Oh, but I don't want to work, I want to be a singing star. Oh, yes. Drive up and down the Bronx in my brand new shiny car. On the street is where I want to be. Is where I want to be. Singing good old harmony. On the streets is where I wanna be. Is where I wanna be. Oh, wait, don't bother me. On the streets of the Bronx is where I wanna be. On the corner of Belmont and 187th Street. Oh, and I'll be waiting for the man to come along and discover me. On the streets of the Bronx.
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 On the streets of the Bronx. To the
Streets of the Bronx is where I wanna be. Acapella with my friends, harmonizing all day and night. Acapella with my friends, had a way of making everything alright. Acapella with my friends, harmonizing all day and night. Acapella with my friends, had a way of making everything alright. When we were young and didn't have much to do, we'd sing in the schoolyard where our voices rang true. We didn't know much about B flat or C. We only knew where we wanted to be singing. Acapella with my friends. With my friends. Harmonizing all day and night. Acapella with my friends. Had a way of making everything alright. Our biggest worry was to be on time for school. Make sure our hair was looking really cool.
We wait for the girls to come strolling on by. Start singing a cappella, trying to catch their eye. Singing a cappella with my friends, harmonizing all day and night. A cappella with my friends, had a way of making everything alright. So many years, so very long, since me and my friends sang a doo-wop song. Still think about my buddies every now and then, hoping someday we'll be together again, singing a cappella with my friends, yeah. All day and night. A cappella with my friends, had a way of making everything alright. My son listened to my old 45s. Now he started singing with 3 other guys. They sound pretty good, and every now and then they say, come on, daddy, sing, remember that, singing a cappella with my friends again, harmonizing all day and night, a cappella with my friends again, thoughts and feeling alright, singing shoo-doo-be-doo with my friends, shoo-doo-doo-doo-doo, harmonizing all day and night. Dum 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 dum. Shoo-doo-doo-doo-dum. Making everything alright. Sha-na-na-na-na. With my friends, harmonizing all day and night. A cappella with my friends, had a way of making everything alright. A cappella with my friends, harmonizing all day and night. A cappella with my friends, had a way of making everything alright. A cappella with my friends, harmonizing all day.
That's a little bit of a cappella with my friends, and before that, Streets of the Bronx with our guest tonight, Larry Chance of Larry Chance and the Earls. At that particular time, and all through your career, did you also work? Did you have a profession, or did you just sing?
No, I just, between the radio and working as a single artist in the Catskills, that's all I've ever done. That's all I've ever wanted to do.
Oh, you've really been stealing from life, haven't you?
Oh, yeah.
Good. Way to
I've been
go.
very fortunate. How many people can honestly say they love their work? They live for their work. I'm one of the fortunate ones.
It's obvious. It's obvious. Well, you know, Larry's doo-wop, and Larry's a little bit of soul with the smokestack. And Larry's also a little bit of country, a little country music coming up here. Tell us about that. What got you into the country songs?
Well, again, I love music, all kinds, and actually they called it country soul. So, but you know, again, I wanted to do one of my favorite songs as a try it as a country song, and we've gotten a lot of good reaction from it.
And what's your favorite song?
Your Precious Love.
Your precious love means more to me than any love could ever be. For when I wanted you, I was so lonely and so blue. For that's what love will do. And darling, oh, when I first realized that you were fooling me, and darling, they say that our love won't grow, but I just want to tell them that they don't know. No, 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 no. as you're in love with me, our love will grow higher, deeper than any sea. And honey, all the things that I want in this whole wide world is just for you to say you're gonna be my girl. Oh, my honey. Oh, my darling. I don't wanna be without you, no. I couldn't live without you. And I don't wanna be alone. No, 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 no.
On my show, I close the show every week by saying, together, we really are keeping this great music alive. And people that listen to the show, people that buy the music, people that go to the concerts and support the entertainers. I mean, we're keeping the music alive, but we need to reach out a little bit more. And this is one way I think that I can do it. I know you get my newsletter. That's another way I think I can try to reach out and get it. But what else can we do, Larry, to try to keep this music alive with the future generations?
Well, I think the only thing we can do is put butts in the seats. I mean, that's what it comes down to, because if the promoters are making a living, then we'll all make a living and the music will survive. And thanks to people like you, you're our outlet now. I'm very grateful for those of you that are on the internet now that are keeping this music alive.
I wanted to congratulate you as your career, has kind of gotten into this latter stage, we'll say. We've gone through your young days and up to the middle, and here we are now, still going strong. But you've been getting some honors, and one of them is you were honored in the Bronx Wall of Fame. That had to be quite a thrill for you.
Oh, absolutely. When we were called and they told us, you were members of the Bronx Walk of Fame, and I saw the people that were there previously: Bobby Darin, Colin Powell, Anne Bancroft, and it went on and on and on. Tony Curtis, and God, I was so humbled.
And well deserved, my friend, well deserved. One final question, or how would you like them to remember you? And if you leave a legacy, what would it be? What would you like it to be?
That along the way, I made a lot of people happy with a song, perhaps a joke, a word of encouragement. I always let people know that those who get cancer, I'm here for them. I've been through it. If they want to talk to me, if they needed some encouragement, just to know that I might have put a little joy in their lives, that means so much to me. I know it sounds syrupy, but I'm telling you, it's a gospel truth.
Larry, I can't thank you enough for your time, and I look forward to catching up with you in the very near future.
Well, thank you for your support. And again, it's people like you, Glenn, that keep us going. So again, a big thank you, and I look forward to seeing you very soon.
You got it, my friend.
The chestnut tree, wishing well, I'll be singing in every lovely summer's day, in everything that's light and gay. I'll always think of you that way. I'll find you in the morning sun, and when the night is blue, I'll be looking at the moon, but I'll be seeing